When I first took the job as a seasonal ranger at Red Pines National Park, I thought it would be the kind of summer that would change my life for the better. The park stretched for hundreds of miles, thick forests broken up by jagged cliffs, rivers that cut through the valleys, and campsites where families pitched their tents under the stars. My duties were simple: patrol the trails, answer tourist questions, and keep an eye out for wildlife. It seemed peaceful, almost too peaceful. But what nobody told me, at least not officially, was that Red Pines had a history of vanishings. People hiked into the woods and never came back. The first time I heard about it, it was from Ranger Collins, a grizzled man who had worked there for over 20 years. One night, sitting around the ranger station with the radio crackling in the background, he leaned in close and whispered, "Don't go past marker 27 after dark. That's where they go missing." I laughed nervously, asking him who they were, but he only gave me a long look and muttered, "The ones who hear the voices." He refused to say more. A week later, a family reported their teenage son missing. He had gone for a short walk near trail marker 27 and never returned. Search parties combed the area for 3 days. Dogs caught his scent but lost it abruptly, as if the boy had simply vanished into thin air. No tracks, no signs of struggle, nothing. The parents were hysterical. I stood among the rescuers, flashlight in hand, calling his name into the endless woods. My voice echoed strangely, almost like someone else was whispering it back. That night, when the search was called off, I lay awake in my cabin, replaying the sound over and over in my head. 2 days later, I volunteered to check marker 27 alone. The trail was overgrown, leading into a dense part of the forest where the trees seemed to knit together overhead, blotting out the sun. As I reached the marker, a carved wooden post half buried in moss, I noticed something odd. The forest had gone completely silent. No birds. No rustling leaves. Just stillness. Then I heard it, the faintest whisper, calling my name. "Evan." I spun around, heart hammering, but the trail was empty. I told myself it was just my imagination, yet when I turned back, I noticed boot prints in the mud. Fresh ones. They didn't lead forward or backward, just circled the marker as if someone had walked around it over and over. Shaken, I returned to the station, only to find Collins watching me from the porch. He didn't ask what I saw. He just nodded grimly and said, "It's calling you now." Over the next week, more hikers disappeared. A young couple camping by the river. A solo backpacker who left a note in her journal about a voice singing in the trees. None of them were ever found. Each time, the search parties came back empty-handed, their radios buzzing with static whenever they passed marker 27. I started to notice changes in myself too. Nights in my cabin grew unbearable. I'd wake up to tapping on the windows, though I lived alone. Sometimes, I'd catch a glimpse of figures standing just beyond the tree-line, shapes too tall, too thin to be human. But when I blinked, they were gone. One evening, Collins confronted me. "You need to leave," he said, his face drawn, eyes heavy with sleeplessness. "This place has chosen you." I demanded he explain, and at last he did. For years, Red Pines had swallowed people. The official reports always said accidents, wildlife attacks, hikers lost. But Collins swore it wasn't that. He said the forest itself was alive, an ancient presence that lured people deeper with voices of loved ones, only to consume them. He showed me a drawer in the station filled with old maps marked with red X's. Each X was a disappearance site. There were dozens, stretching back over 50 years. Always near marker 27. I wanted to dismiss him as paranoid, but that night, as I patrolled the area alone, I heard it again. A voice, my mother's voice, soft, gentle, impossible. She had died years ago, yet here she was, calling my name from the shadows. My chest tightened as I stumbled off the trail, chasing the sound. The deeper I went, the colder the air grew, until my breath fogged in front of me. Then I saw her, my mother, standing among the trees, smiling softly, beckoning me closer. Her figure flickered in the moonlight like smoke. Every instinct screamed at me to run, yet my feet carried me forward. When I reached out, the figure's face twisted into something wrong, its smile stretching too wide, eyes hollow and black. The forest erupted in whispers, hundreds of voices overlapping, calling, laughing, crying. Shapes moved between the trees, impossibly tall, their limbs bending like branches. I stumbled backward, tripping over roots, but the ground seemed to shift beneath me. For a moment, it felt like the forest floor itself was breathing. I ran blindly until I collapsed near the station, gasping for air. Collins found me there, pale and trembling. "You saw them," he said quietly. I nodded, unable to speak. The next morning, Collins was gone. His cabin empty, his radio silent. Only his ranger hat remained on the porch, resting neatly, as if placed there on purpose. His disappearance was written off like the others, an accident, nothing more. But I knew the truth. And now, every night, the voices grow louder. They call to me from the trees, begging, pleading, promising. Sometimes I hear Ethan, the missing boy. Sometimes I hear Collins. Sometimes I hear my mother again. I know what happens next. Everyone chosen eventually vanishes. The twisted part? I'm writing this now in my logbook, but by the time anyone finds it, I'll already be gone. Because last night, I finally understood what the forest wants. It doesn't just take people. It collects them. And now, when I walk past marker 27, I no longer just hear the voices. I see them. All of them. Smiling. Waiting for me to join them.